What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and today I want to talk about Sentry. Now, this was a character that was toted up to be insanely powerful in the beginning, and he is. He is insanely powerful, and a lot of you were wondering why I didn't put him on my best tier 3s for Knull. Well, I'll explain. So the first thing is his cost. He is an insanely expensive character that you have to get through the epic quest. You have to use a lot of resources to get him, and you also have to, from his gears 20 to 25, you have to use CCF, something that a lot of people don't really want to do, including myself. Now, I realize that Knull here is also extremely expensive, another native tier 3 just like Sentry. But here's the big difference between these two characters as far as facing Knull. Knull himself is leaps and bounds stronger than Sentry when it comes to PvE content. There is no comparison. I would argue that Knull is the best character in the game for Knull himself, except for maybe Moonstone. I would argue that all day. So to me, he's absolutely worth the cost and to build up for Knull, because I do believe he's either the best or the second best. But Sentry isn't. Sentry isn't even in the top 7, in my opinion. Now, he would be in the top 10 because he does have a lot of power. But the thing about him is, and another reason why I didn't put him on the list, is because a lot of people are just going to use him for PvP, because that's where he's really suited. Now, he is insanely strong in PvE. He's an absolute monster thanks to, having the 80% all defense down. When you put a debuff leadership, he's going to have over 100% all defense down. This is crazy. 50% all attack buff, the increased damage proc by 80%. He's got the crazy buff on the 4 skill, more 50% all attack, 50% crit rate for 6 seconds. So if you have 25% crit rate, that's all you need. He has more all defense down here. He has more all defense down on his 3rd skill. He has ignore iframe on his 1 skill, which makes him really good for PvP. This is on a 3.5 second cooldown. And he plays super well with a proc, and these are all good things. He also has a heal. Again, this is a PvP thing, although it does come in handy in PvE. And his leadership is PvE oriented, is PvP oriented. Applies to all allies, activation rate when debuffed, removes all debuff, 30% increase of all attack. This is an insane leadership. But for PvE, you're going to want to use damage to like attack leaderships or damage to male types like She-Hulk, something like that to really buff up their damage. This isn't going to be that useful in PvE. I mean, in some situations, but you really want that extra damage when you're using this character. Now, in the run you're going to see today, I'm going to play him. I'm really not going to play him quite optimally, but it's still going to be pretty awesome. Now, the one thing about Knull is, since his all defense downs don't apply to Knull, it really doesn't matter if you do your 4 skill first or your tier 3 first, because no all defense down is going to override the other. That's a beautiful thing about fighting Knull, is you don't have to worry about using, say, a lower all defense down first before you're doing a higher all defense down, because you want the highest one to start the all defense. You want to apply this all defense down first, the largest one, and then you want to apply the smaller ones afterwards to fill up the cup. Now, let me show you something about Sentry. And in the runs you're going to see, because I pre-recorded a couple runs, I wasn't playing him exactly optimal. The 4 skill has that 50% attack buff. Well, if you cancel the 4 skill immediately, you don't get the all defense down, but you do get the attack buff. You don't get the all defense down. You don't see it. He's got to jump down, slam, and then he gets the all defense down. So what I should have been doing is I should have been using 254. That's the rotation. You put the proc on the 4 skill, let the 4 skill play out during the proc, and then what I do is I hit the 3 and then the 1. Now this is with a damage proc, not with a rage. If it was with a rage, I'd probably hit the 1 and then go into the 3, because the 3 can actually do quite a bit of damage. And then after that, you'll do the same thing again. You'll do 254. And if you're fast enough, you could do 3 254 tier 3. But sometimes when you do that, you might trigger the proc early. So it's just 254 3 1, 254 3 1, and then your tier 3 is going to be ready to go. And you can actually go 254 tier 3, and the all defense down from the 4 will not apply. You're only going to get the all defense down from the tier 3. That is it. So you don't have to worry about the 4's all defense down applying first. Another thing about Sentry's all defense down is it comes at the very end of the skill. And since it's only a 5-second cooldown on the all defense down from the 4, right? This thing will probably finish by the time you use your tier 3. Now, I can't guarantee that. I haven't really tested that fully, but if you cancel the 4 fast enough, you'll still get the attack buff before you do the tier 3. And I won't even be doing that in the run you're going to watch against Cull, and we're still going to do insane damage. Now, as far as my build, I have bumped him up quite a bit since the last video you all saw. He has 40,000 energy attack. He has 128 attack speed. He will have max critical rate because he gets that 50% crit rate from the 4th skill. He has max critical damage, max ignore defense, max skill cooldown. And by the way, there's that leadership tag, and this is something they added in a couple updates past, and that really bumped up his damage. And then he has, I slapped on some Urus on him. I put 5-star energy attack and 5-star critical damage Urus on him. His gears are at 20, and that is where they're going to stay because I am not going to use CCF to level up gears. And you can see I don't have that many Essence of Dimension. I pretty much used them all, leveling his gears up from 15 to 20. We've already went through his skills. He has a fully awakened Power of Angry Real set. This is something else I've changed. And this is another reason why I feel he isn't the best for Knull. Because you want to use him for a hybrid build, I think this is an excellent obelisk for him. You don't need this penetration because he already gets penetration from his 5th skill, and this 5th skill will override the penetration from the CTP of Destruction. So really all we're getting is the guard break immunity, the critical damage, and the increased damage proc by 200%. This damage proc acts just like a regular obelisk damage proc, so it's a very free to play setup. If you had an immunity to guard break with critical damage, it would be really nice, and a damage proc, that would be an insane hybrid obelisk for Sentry. But a lot of people, what they're going to do is they're going to put a CTP of regeneration on this character because they're using him in PvP. He's an absolute god in PvP. He's insanely strong in that game mode. I use him every single day, and he is insane in that game mode. I was getting wins using level 15 gears with 140% damage proc and a non-awakened ISO set consistently with Sentry and Vibranium. That's how strong he is. So having this build is just way better. And you can make an argument as to whether or not you really need guard break immunity because Sentry does have native super armor, and characters these days, actually like Sentry himself and Jean, they can actually break your guard whether you have guard break immunity or not. So there's an argument to be made, but I think for the most part, having guard break immunity is still going to be better to have instead of not having it in PvP. There's just going to be some situations where it's going to come in very handy where your guard won't get broken, where you can actually enable your attacks so because you're not getting guard broken, so you can do damage to your opponent. So let's jump into the action and let's rock and roll. So now it's time for a little murder, and this really is insane what Sentry can do using a regular proc. It really is massive. I mean, this is stage 99, and we're just going to go 2, 5, 4, and obviously we got Valkyrie and White Fox for the damage dealt to supervillains, and of course the increase all debuff effect from White Fox's leadership to bump up our all defense down to over 100% from the tier 3. Now, something else to note, by the way, is when Cull is doing his cleansing, the second time he does the cleansing, you can actually immediately apply the tier 3, just like I did there, right? Because the all defense down comes at the end of the skill. See that? You see that? Now we go back in there, 2, 5, 4, and watch this. Meow. Murder, my friends. Murder, my friends. And there I missed my second skill. Damn it. No big deal. Run around, run around. And you see right there, I'm not even using the 4th skill because I was actually thinking that the 4 skills all defense down would apply before the tier 3. So I wasn't using it. But still, look at the damage. And that's really mainly because after you apply the all defense down from the tier 3 and then you go into his skills afterwards, I am getting that 50% attack buff from the 4th skill after we do the tier 3. And that's really where the bulk of the damage is at. You're applying the all defense down from the tier 3 first, and then you're running through your skills afterwards, and you're filling up that cup with the 4th skill on top of that, and the damage is just insane. Look at how fast Sentry is plowing through this. If I was making a list on the best characters for PvE content other than Knull, Sentry would be way up there. He'd be way up there. Because of this, I mean, he's an absolute monster. So we'll hit the 2, 5, and tier 3 again. And you definitely want to hit the 2 so you get some damage accumulation. I mean, look at that. Look at that. That's crazy. And now I'm just going to run up because I have super armor, right? Whenever Cull's swinging his little axe around, super armor will prevent you from getting guard broken. However, you're still going to take damage. But Sentry has so much survivability with the revive, the heal. You just don't have to worry about it with the character. And that's something I love about him. Plus, his movement speed is absolutely insane. Really, I think he's one of the funnest characters to play with because he is so powerful and so strong. Okay, now we're just going to try to squeeze in a little attack here. Now, what I could have done is use my one skill to take Cull out of that iframe, but I didn't want to because I was afraid it was going to trigger the proc. And boom, look at how fast he did that. 2 minutes and 20 seconds, stage 99. 2 minutes and 20 seconds. That is insanely fast. Freaking insane character. Now, let's see what he can do against Knull. So something to note about Sentry is he has no ignore dodge in his kit. And since we're not using a CTP of energy to give us any extra ignore dodge, or we don't have any from an obelisk, we're using 5 ignore dodge strikers, and then we have Valkyrie. So we have a total of 80% ignore dodge, which is more than enough to get it done. And this is stage 4. You know, we are using Cyclops with 35% increase of all attack and the 30% increased energy attack from his passive, and we're getting the 50% damage out of supervillains from Valkyrie. But stage 4 really is a testament to how strong Sentry is. And, you know, when we're doing this with a CTP of destruction, we're not using a rage, we're not using an energy. And if we were using energy, that chain hit damage from Sentry would synergize really well with the chain hit damage from the CTP of energy. He would be a lot stronger, and honestly would probably be doing stage 5, maybe even stage 6. I mean, who knows? And if you have Pierce on your account, which I don't, I have no Pierce on my cards, you'd probably go way, way higher. He's a character that is good, but for sure he's insane in regular world boss, and he's definitely good here, but not the best. Like I said, guys, I don't think he's probably in the top 7, maybe top 6 as far as tier 3s that you could use for Knull if you build them PvE wise. But I think that Sentry really belongs mainly for PvP, or just build him the way that I have him built. That way you can enjoy him in all the game modes. I mean, he's really the best well-rounded character in the game. The guy can do pretty much anything. I mean, you have characters like Knull that are insane in PvE, and that's really what they're good for. Same with Moonstone. You know, you have characters like Jean, who's really just a lot better for PvP than she is for PvE. You know, Sentry is really on a whole nother level when it comes to being well-rounded. He's just good in everything. However, in squad battle, you know, for the Universal Human Day, Ghost Rider is still better, and Ghost Rider's a whole lot cheaper. So, you know, when I was doing that tier list, you know, and this is something I should have mentioned, was I was also considering the cost and really the usefulness of a character and where they're the most useful. And Sentry really is the most useful in PvP. And if you're building him for that, you're going to really get more bang for your buck out of him, because that's where he is in God. That's where he is totally insane. And again, it doesn't mean he isn't good here. I mean, stage 4 is really good. It's actually quite impressive how strong he is, and considering his all defense down is not applying at all. It's freaking nuts, really, the damage that he's able to do with that tier 3, even with just his 4 skill. He does a lot of damage with his regular skills and with his tier 3, which is a pretty awesome combination. I mean, that's a lot of damn damage. That's a lot of damn damage. I think maybe even if I had a CTP of Insight on Cyclops or even Valkyrie, although I don't think that'd be a good idea since you want to use her for ABX, I think maybe we might even be able to do stage 5. Maybe. I don't know. 20% extra damage, I don't know if that would be enough. We might need a little bit more to go a stage higher. But this is pretty much the max on my account for Sentry with a max team. Yeah, he's not going to do stage 5. I've tried it. We just kept running quite behind. And I'm really playing very, very aggressive. And this is another thing that's really great about Sentry. And, you know, and you guys have heard me mention this before. Characters that you can play super aggressive with, at least for me, are really, really fun. You can afford to make a lot of mistakes with Sentry because he has the revive, because he has the heals. He just has insane survivability with the immunity. He has invincibility on the 5th skill, and immunity on the 2nd skill. It's just, he's the complete package, right? That's the whole thing about this character. Oh. And I just love that he moves so fast. I mean, Knull doesn't stand a chance as far as getting a hold of him. We're going to go ahead and throw some more skills here. And this was a really good run, to be perfectly honest, guys. Like, this was a good run. And just to let y'all know, I only had to try this twice. Just twice. So that's pretty awesome. Now, since Sentry has invincibility on his 5th skill and his tier 3, you can just jump the gun and go at him. So 254 tier 3 and boom. And you don't got to worry. I mean, if you haven't died, you'll still have a revive if you do take enough damage. But Sentry's HP pool is enough to where you can just go full force in the very beginning, take a little damage, and just do a lot of damage to Knull. Oh yeah, come on, come on, come on, come on. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. Oh yeah, we got it. And boom, 15 seconds to spare. So stage 4, very impressive. Something else to notice, because we had to use a lot of ignore dodge strikers, we couldn't use any damage to supervillain strikers. If you had a CTP of energy, you could take 2 of those ignore dodge strikers off, put 2 damage dealt to supervillains, and then you could do even better. So I mean, maybe stage 5, maybe stage 6. Let me know what's the highest level you've been able to do with your Sentry, and whether or not you were using a rage or what kind of obelisk you were using. So let me know how y'all feeling about Sentry, and as always, I stream on Twitch at 10 p.m. GMT plus 7 time. The link will be in the description below, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one.